Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little life update as far as my transition goals go. Once again, this video is sponsored by Plume, the most amazing company for accessible, affordable, gender-affirming healthcare across America. Everything they do is online and digital, so it's very easy to access healthcare services and hormones. They'll even mail them straight to you, so check them out at the link in the comments section below. But I've officially been on T for about 6 months now, so I wanted to pop on with a little overall update about what I was experiencing and the changes I was seeing, and also talk very specifically about a change that comes from T that seems to get a lot of negative attention on the internet, which is bottom growth. Now, I am on low dose T, so my changes are happening definitely a little bit slower than other people's, but right around the 6-month mark, I've definitely noticed some changes in my voice. They're not super dramatic, but especially like since I've been doing the YouTube thing, I can look back at my old videos and I can definitely hear a difference when I am speaking, so there is that. I've definitely noticed some changes to hair growth. Not much as far as facial hair. There's like a little bit more peach fuzz on my face, but that's about it. I definitely have like the tiniest bit more upper lip hair, and it's a little bit darker, but again, not many changes there. I have, however, noticed definitely a lot more hair on my thighs and on my legs than before starting T, and I definitely have like a little happy trail now, which I'm actually very excited about. The biggest thing for me has been noticing like body fat changes and muscle recomposition. My shoulders have broadened out and filled up pretty dramatically, as have my upper arms. Now, I've also been working out pretty extensively in conjunction with starting to take T, as a lot of those like musculature and body goal changes were what I wanted, especially following like the plastic surgeries I'd had in that direction. So I'm very excited about that. Downside is I have to like go through my whole closet and get rid of a lot of stuff because things just physically don't fit with how broad my shoulders are getting, and that's a little bit of a bummer, but you know, all good things. And then I've definitely been dealing with hormonal acne, and that has definitely been difficult. I knew I was probably gonna get it because I get hormonal acne as it is already before I started T, especially around my jawline here and on my neck. So I've definitely been struggling with that since starting T, but I kind of expected it, so I've just kind of been taking it in stride and trying to really dial in a good skincare routine and work with my esthetician and just kind of keep it under control. But one thing that did happen for me is that I experienced bottom growth super quickly. And for those who are unaware, bottom growth is when you take testosterone as someone who was assigned female at birth, and when you grow up with estrogen controlling your body's changes in hormones, when you start taking testosterone, you can experience bottom growth. This is normally focused on the clitoris and the hood, and it does grow larger, but different people can be affected different ways, and you may see different changes to your vulva. But most commonly when we're talking about this, we're talking about changes to the clitoris and the hood, and we're talking about it growing larger and more prominent. For me, I experienced bottom growth rapidly. I'm talking about like 3 days after my first T injection, I noticed a difference. And like 1 week after my first injection, my partner noticed a difference. For me, initial bottom growth changes were accompanied by a sensation of like itchiness or dryness in that area. And then after about the first 2-3 weeks, that kind of tapered off. Most of my bottom growth thus far occurred in those like first few weeks, like things grew rapidly. And then after that, it's kind of plateaued. I've definitely noticed there's still some changes happening in that area, but not nearly as quickly as the first couple weeks. It like zoomed forward and now it's like slowing down. But bottom growth can occur anywhere throughout the first year for a lot of folks. Some folks do experience it even past that, but it's very common for bottom growth changes to primarily happen in the first year. So we're 6 months in and we've definitely seen some bottom growth. Now, you know, it's not like huge or anything, but if I like, obviously I can't post pictures, like this is YouTube, I'm gonna get my whole ass account banned. But if I had to compare it, I would say things looked like a pea beforehand, and now they look like a third of a baby carrot. Listen, I'm just trying my best, okay? Either you'll either you can envision it or you can't. Google is your friend. There's plenty of trans mask folks who you can pay to take a look at their genitalia and see what that bottom growth looks like. I am not one of them. But bottom growth happened really quickly for me, and I was really, really excited about this. And maybe it's because of the spaces I occupy online and in person, and what I do for a living as a professional body piercer, but I was fucking stoked for bottom growth. I was super excited about it. And then I come online and I started getting more trans mask TikToks and videos online and discourse on my Twitter. And there was just so much bottom growth slander and just negativity about bottom growth just all over the internet in these trans spaces. And I am not here to tell you how you have to experience your body or your transition. Everyone has changes they're excited for and changes they may not be. And if you want to come online because you are not a fan of bottom growth or not excited about bottom growth, or you don't like it and you want to vent about that online, that's totally your space to be in. But the bottom growth, the hate that bottom growth gets on TikTok especially is wild to me. And I think a lot of it comes from a certain degree of misinformation that I see spread around. And maybe it really just truly is that I'm the odd one out being excited about bottom growth, but I don't think that's the case. We're to look at bottom growth on a hormonal level, the clitoris is already larger than we think. It's not just the tiny little thing we see at the front. It's this whole structure that comes back down and along the inner and outer labia. So it's not like we didn't have that much there to begin with, and now HRT is magically making it giant. It's just kind of enlarging what's already present there. And that growth doesn't just happen to the clitoris that we see, it happens to that whole organ. And what that means is that sensitivity and sensations change. And for a lot of people, myself included, many areas become more sensitive and become more enjoyable after bottom growth, because now we have this larger surface area to work with. Now, it wasn't that I struggled with pleasure or sensation before starting HRT, but it was greatly enhanced by the things that bottom growth gave me. More areas felt sensitive and enjoyable to the touch, and more areas were able to be easily stimulated. Professional body piercer, I have this unique experience of having seen literally thousands of vulvas over my lifetime of all different shapes, sizes, makes and models, if you will. And I have seen quite a few clients where that anatomy was very deeply recessed into their body, or sat very far back behind their hood, or just was very, very incredibly small. And it was really hard for those clients to experience pleasure and enjoyable sensations. And I've seen clients who I met before they were out as trans, before they started taking HRT, and worked with them throughout their HRT journey. And I've seen bottom growth literally change people's lives sexually, and have clients go from rarely ever being able to have an orgasm to being able to have one every time, whether they're alone or with a partner. Because bottom growth has given them so many more areas of sensitivity and areas of pleasure and enjoyment, and also just made the anatomy easier to work with for both the person who had it and their partner. It's awesome what this has done for people. And a lot of times when I see this fear of bottom growth on TikTok, people talk about things getting absolutely gigantic down there. And, everyone's body is different. Everyone's experience with hormones is different. There's truly no way to predict how HRT is going to affect you. But again, as someone who has the unique experience of being on T and seeing tons of people on T and go throughout their journeys, unless you're taking full dose, high dose T for many years and you're genetically predisposed to things getting very large, they're probably not going to. And even if they do, the largest anatomy that I've worked with was on a client who'd been on full dose testosterone for almost a decade, and it was a small baby carrot. It's not no hate to the T-dicks, right? But they're not becoming like super gigantic just from tea alone. Now, a lot of folks also incorporate like topical gels and treatments, and like suction enlargement devices. And like there's other things that you can do if you really want to achieve like a really huge piece of anatomy down there. And if you do, fucking go for it. Like, I'm all about it. I'm here for it. I support it. But for the people online, especially the younger people who are just considering taking HRT or testosterone, the non-binary people who maybe aren't sure about all the effects that they want, you are not, especially on like low dose or microdosing tea for just a couple months, probably going to have like a massive dramatic change down there. And even if you do, I would really encourage you to learn exactly how that change is happening on an anatomical and hormonal level, and consider all of the ways it might be able to improve sensation and function for you. Probably the coolest thing for me about going on tea as someone who's also a professional body piercer is that I now have the anatomy to get a ton of very cool, very functional body piercings that I couldn't have gotten pierced with my anatomy before starting tea. And that was really like the coolest thing for me as a professional body piercer. I've wanted a triangle piercing for forever, and my anatomy pre-tea was like, I'm telling you, like a week and a half on tea, I can get a triangle now. I can get a triangle now. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The potential that this opens for different piercings and different body modifications down there is astounding. What I really like about that, coming from the perspective of someone who's non-binary, is that for a lot of clients, bottom surgery is not necessarily something that's in their future. And this goes for, trans men and trans masc clients as well, but, we're speaking from a non-binary perspective. Bottom surgery is not something that's in everyone's future. And if it's not, you still may struggle with dysphoria or wanting something different for your genitalia, and a lot of clients turn to body piercing. So the fact that you could hypothetically take HRT for like just a month and get like some slight vocal changes and some slight bottom growth, and then stop it and get a bunch of piercings or body modifications that are really affirming to you, that's really freaking cool and very low stress, very low commitment, and opens a lot of doors for a lot of people. And this is not just trans people either. I've had cis clients take testosterone for short periods of time for this exact purpose, in order to be able to get certain body piercings or body modifications that they want, which I think is just super freaking cool. And I'm all about like customizing and playing with your body in whatever way suits you. And this concept of like building a better body for like piercings or kink or fetish purposes through like experimenting with hormones and body piercing, I think that's rad. I'd love to talk more about the functionality of bottom growth, but I also would not like my YouTube channel to get deleted. So I hope that things were vague enough in this video but made sense to you. And yeah, do y'all want to keep seeing like check-ins about how things are going with my transition and like bodily changes and stuff? Do you like these videos? Let me know. Also, obviously, disclaimer, I talked a lot about like playing around with your body and modifying your body through the use of piercings and HRT and all of these things. And I am in 100% full support of this with informed consent. You cannot make these decisions without the information. So if you see me make videos like this or other creators make videos like this and you like these ideas and you think they appeal to you, the first step after watching these videos is not signing up at a clinic to get HRT and not doing that. It's doing your research. And there are tons of resources. Plume especially has some incredibly in-depth articles that go over how HRT works and how these hormones are going to affect your body and what risks you need to consider in taking them. And that would be a great starting point. But all of these things need to be done with informed consent. I am not out here saying that I want anyone to do all of this stuff willy-nilly. I'm saying that I want you to research it and really think about it. And if you have all the information you think it sounds right for you, then let's get weird. I am all about it. That is what I am here for. But everything with informed consent, from piercings to body modifications to transitioning. Always, always, always. As per usual, it was awesome sitting down and hanging out with you. And yeah, I'm excited to share maybe a different perspective on bottom growth than some people have seen, and then what seems to be like predominant on the internet, especially on TikTok. And I hope that this can open some conversations about the positive side of bottom growth as much as we reflect on the aspects of it that some people don't like. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I can't wait to sit down and chat with you again soon. Bye.